Hi, I'm Chris Kalenda, and I am absolutely delighted to introduce the 3-discipline leadership system to you. So the 3-discipline leadership system is for CEOs and senior leaders who want to create sustainable business growth, and for leaders who believe, as I do, that leadership quality is what precedes business outcomes. You don't get business outcomes first and then leadership quality follows. It's the opposite. Leadership quality, it starts with leadership quality and then your business outcomes follow. And this is what the 3-discipline leadership system is all about, and that I'm going to be introducing to you in this video. So when you look at a lot of leader development, it's a bit like an iceberg, where you've got what you can see is above the waterline, but what happens above the waterline really is not what moves the iceberg. What moves the iceberg is what you get at the base, or where the current exists. And so this is where a lot of the leadership training and coachings have challenges, because it's all above the waterline stuff. And if it's not tied and customized to your business, then it's like the wind blowing at the top of the iceberg. It's not going to move anything. And that's why a lot of keynotes or a lot of trainings, if you will, just don't seem to land. And it's because they're talking about their product, what they know in a particular area of expertise, but it's not necessarily tied to your outcomes. And that's where this system comes in, is it's tailor-made and totally focused on improving the leadership quality that creates the business outcomes that you want. So let's look below the waterline. One of the first questions leaders ask me is, well, we're in turbulent times. How do we navigate uncertainty? And the way you do that is by putting your team in an unbeatable position. So regardless of market conditions, they always feel like they are in a position to succeed. So just take a moment and hit pause in this video and write down, what would unbeatable positioning look like for me and my business? And what impact would that have? The second outcome, or the second question that people tend to ask is, well, how do I unlock even greater innovation? How do I get my employees to solve problems on their own, try new things, and do it in a way that is advancing our common good rather than creating distraction? And the key there is creating an unstoppable workforce, where people are going to plow through, they're going to leap over, they're going to go around any obstacle, and as they solve problems, they're also bringing the organization to new heights. So just pause the video and write down, what would an unstoppable workforce look like for us? And what impact would that have? Now, a third question that flows naturally from the second one is, well, how do we encourage people to contribute their best to our organization's success? Ultimately, that's what leadership is all about. And the key there is leading with unwavering inspiration. So people look to you, and they look to your number ones and number twos and say, this is the kind of person that I want to support. This is the kind of person I want to follow. This is the kind of person and the kind of mission that I believe in. So press pause, write down, what would leading with unwavering inspiration look like for you? And what would that do for your business? Now, of course, the magic happens when you bring all three of those things together. Because ultimately, I believe, and so do you if you're watching this video, that leadership quality precedes business outcomes. And ultimately, the biggest business outcome that people are looking for is sustainable business growth. So we leave a legacy. We're able to thrive over the long haul, regardless of market condition, and we are improving the lives of our customers, we're improving the lives of our employees, because we're sustainable and we're durable and we're successful. Now, I've made most of the available mistakes as a leader in about 40 years of leading people and organizations in the military, in nonprofit world, in business. And I developed the 3-discipline leadership system as a way to create those 3 outcomes in the center and ultimately lead to the $1 million promise, the $1 million outcome there at the base of the iceberg. All right, so let's introduce this 3-discipline system. It starts, of course, at the center with the ultimate outcome of sustainable business growth. And then around the outside are the 3 supporting outcomes of unbeatable positioning, an unstoppable workforce, and leading with unwavering inspiration. So the first discipline that begins to create these outcomes is strategic foresight. And with strategic foresight, you go from random results, lots of ups and downs, to predictable success and predictable profits for your business. Second discipline is empowering oversight, which allows you and your organization to move from micromanagement, where you feel like you've always got to be hands-on, into a situation where you're eyes-on, hands-off, which ignites ingenuity and unleashes the full potential of your business. And then finally is courageous insight, where leaders and your number 1s and number 2s can move from cautious hesitation and ruminating and constantly wondering whether this bold action is the right one into bold execution. You find that it's far easier to turn a moving car than a parked one. Now, you've got to have all 3 in place to be successful. Without strategic foresight, you wind up in drift, and you can only drift in one direction, and that's downhill. Without empowering oversight, you wind up in disarray, where you've got some people standing still and waiting to be told what to do, and other people moving 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction. And then finally, you have, without courageous insight, then you wind up in despair. And when people despair of their leaders, of the mission, then they wind up voting with their feet. So having all 3 in place and working together is vital. And around the outside are the accelerators that make this all happen. So when it comes to strategic foresight, you have pattern recognition, where you're able to see in behaviors what people are likely to do next. When athletes say the game suddenly slowed down, that's pattern recognition at work. Second is structured simplicity. So like pattern recognition, this is a meta accelerator. Structured simplicity is all about reducing things to their most important elements. And when you make changes to the most vital elements, you get huge impact. And then third is upstream thinking. So you're anticipating change and shaping it rather than reacting to events. Now, when it comes to empowering oversight, it starts with compelling clarity. So people are so clear about your expectations and standards and where you want to go, they can repeat it back to you flawlessly. Second is enthusiastic engagement, where people are providing their discretionary effort to the success of your business. And relentless improvement means they're getting better and better every day. Nobody's resting on their laurels. They're constantly seeking the next set of better practices. And third, when it comes to courageous insight, the 3 accelerators are, first of all, purposeful presence, where you are voting with your time, talent, and energy very intentionally, so you are getting the best impact from that, and so are your subordinate leaders. A second is keen judgment. So you're making decisions that are going to lead to the best results for your organization, and you're doing it quickly and in a timely manner. And then finally is bold execution. So there can be a huge gap between decision and execution. You're going to close that gap so people are executing quickly and expertly on the decisions you make to move your business forward. So that's the overview of the 3-discipline leadership system. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I had made most of the available mistakes when it comes to each one of these. And what I learned over time is that I tend to follow an intuitive process. So I picked up something maybe that I had gleaned from somebody else, or that maybe worked once or twice, but didn't always work. And the challenge with an intuitive process is you can't explain it, you can't teach it, and therefore you can't improve performance. So what you're going to see with each one of these accelerators are a set of visual models that you can use. It creates an organized process that you can use that you can teach, that you can use to evaluate, and you can improve. So if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a good visual model is worth 1,000 pictures. And so you're going to be getting lots of visual models during this program, and I encourage you to test them out, to test drive them for yourself. And then the more you apply them and the more you can make little tweaks so that they are what works for you. And then you can teach them to your leaders and they can teach them to their leaders, and your entire organization is going to grow as a result. So at any time, please feel free to write me a message, to send me a note about how well the course is going for you, how well the program is going for you, and any questions that you might have that I can answer. So the best way to reach me is go to my website, chriskalinda.com, where you'll find this program and all sorts of other resources for leaders who want to improve the quality of the leadership in their organizations so they can create sustainable business growth.